Hello everyone, welcome to this Winning with CPAs profile interview. This is Brandon Sturkey, creator of Winning with CPAs. Excited to be back with you here. We're here in Sarasota, Florida with one of our top Winning with CPAs advisors, Dave Szabo of Financial Edge. And I couldn't be more excited for you to have the opportunity to listen in on how Dave has taken this program, Winning with CPAs, and really seen some phenomenal results. And I know you're going to learn a lot as we listen to some of the things that Dave has to share with us today. So thanks for being with us, Dave. Appreciate you sitting down.
Thanks for coming down all this way, Brandon. It's good to have you.
Absolutely. I think as we get started, if you would, maybe just tell us a little bit about how you got into the business, start with some of the basics, how
Sure.
long you've been in the business, and maybe how long you've been independent.
I've been 11, going on 12 years now in the business. I started on the brokerage side and then made my way into the planning side of the business, and then been in the Sarasota area for about 10 years now, and went on my own going on 7 years now. So I've been independent on my own for 7 years. I've always been independent in the business, but on my own for 7 years now.
Okay. And at Financial Edge, do you primarily focus on the fixed side of the business, securities, a little bit of both? How is your practice made up?
We really focus on wealth management, so we cater to all types of investments, whether they're securities, fixed business. We're very planning oriented, so we really cater the full meal deal of wealth management to our clientele.
Okay. And primarily, do you work with a specific demographic? Or are you focused primarily with retirees, seniors? Do you work with everybody? How do you break it?
Well, we're not as diverse with our clientele as most firms probably are. We're really concentrated with seniors more so. We do have some younger clientele that are big income earners that have tax issues, that have money, disposable income to invest, but overall mainly the senior market. Being in Florida and specifically the Sarasota area, there's a heavy concentration of seniors, and that is only growing year after year. So great area for us to have our business and be concentrated more with the senior market.
Excellent. Well, obviously we're here, we want to understand how you've taken this program and really launched your business to another level, which congratulations to you. I know we're going to talk about some of the results you've seen over the past number of months, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about how have you marketed your practice in the past. Before you started working with CPAs, what kind of marketing initiatives have you tried or have worked at one time? And maybe tell us a little bit about that.
What marketing haven't I tried, really? It became very frustrating, but I think I've done pretty much anything and everything that most advisors out there have done. I've done direct mail, I've done newsletters, I've done postcards, I've done seminars, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I've done advanced workshops where there was no food and attendees had to pay to get in. I've done commercialing. I ran radio shows for a year and a half. So I've done all the types of marketing that's available to us in our industry, and all worked for a while and then slowly kind of fizzled out. And it seems like in this area and probably nationally, things like seminars, they all had their time, and then you had to change and adjust to the environment, and competition just became more fierce, and it came to a point where the money was going out as far as the cost and expenses to run all this marketing, and the return just wasn't there. And I had to make an important decision with changing the focus of my marketing, and that's really when I fell on top of Winning with CPAs, and it all kind of went from there.
Sure, and just to touch on that for just a minute, because I'm sure most advisors who are probably watching this interview have done direct mail seminars, and that was one I know that you had done for quite a while. What were some of the results you saw? I mean, don't you think really, I mean, I know in my opinion, I'm curious if you share this opinion, that the writing is really on the wall with direct mail seminars, and probably has been for a number of years, but it seems that most advisors are still trying to push that agenda, still trying to hang on to maybe what's a dying method of marketing. But in your experience here in Sarasota, what's been the feedback with seminars, and or what have you seen with the decline in results?
Well, the last seminar I did was roughly probably 2 years ago, year and a half to 2 years ago, and the last seminar I did, it had gotten so poor, the results, and that I actually got one meeting out of my seminar, and there was probably 30 to 35 attendees there.
Wow.
It was a nice lunch. It was a great location. I've even brought in a guest speaker to talk, to take half of the class and speak, and we hit it out of the park as far as how well it was organized and everything. But we actually had one meeting from that, derived from that. That's where it ended for me. Previous to that, if we're going back as far as 2006 or so, they were a hot commodity seminars. I mean, everyone was doing them. I was doing them, and my response rate was much better from the direct mail, and then we would get anywhere between 30 to 50 people come to the seminar, and I would be lucky, you know, if I closed maybe 8 to 10, but that was a good number back then. And then those numbers just slowly went down to the last seminar being one person coming in for a consultation, and that was the end for me for seminars.
Gotcha. Probably feels good to not have to have done a seminar in over a year and a half.
Probably won't do them ever again.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about working with CPAs, because you, like myself in my own practice, you know, kind of looked at the landscape of all the different marketing opportunities and things you could spend. As you know, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars pretty quickly in this industry with different marketing initiatives. So what was it about working with CPAs that attracted you? What did you see there?
Well, first I felt that the CPA didn't have a good handle on their client, and I had some situations where I had clients that would come into me and they would, I would easily be able to tell that they're paying more taxes than they should have, or they could have avoided paying taxes by maybe making some minor tweaks to their portfolio, and it led me to believe that the CPA mentality was more reactive than it was proactive. And I did know a CPA for quite a while that I felt was a little bit more proactive, but I just felt initially that I could bring a service to the CPA that would you know, better service their client, better manage them, better plan for them, and I felt that I could bring something unique to the CPA. I just didn't know how to approach the CPA. I didn't have any framework, I wasn't structured, I didn't really have anything to go on or what to propose, because I know these guys are getting hit up by advisors probably weekly with business cards. Here, I'll refer, you refer, and I just didn't want to fall into that camp.
Sure. So before you came in and we began working together in this context, had you tried working with any CPAs? Did you try approaching any?
No, I had a CPA who I referred some clients to do their tax returns. I didn't want to get into the business of doing tax returns, so I referred, and there were a few around town that I did that with. There was one in particular that I'd received a couple referrals from, but that was really it. I didn't ever approach and say, here, you know, let's do this or let's do that to integrate our businesses. I never went to them with an approach or a proposal, because I wasn't confident in really what I was proposing. I knew I wanted a relationship, I just didn't know how to approach them with it.
So you saw a great opportunity for you to bring additional value to the CPA firm, which I think you're right. And in fact, I know most CPAs today, I think the trade publications that they read are all telling them they need an integrated model. You know, they need an integrated approach to planning. So you saw the opportunity for the CPA. What did you see for yourself in that? What was it that attracted you?
Well, they had basically there was a book of business sitting, waiting right there for you.
Sure.
That is maybe not being serviced well. Maybe they're not happy with the advisor or the planner or the broker or the agent that they're working with. And there's a lot of do-it-themselfers, and there's a lot of people that choose not to work with anyone, and they're not even looking over their own stuff. So I just looked at it that a CPA firm, there's a book of potential business sitting right there in front of us that if we just know how to tap into it properly, market to it properly, that only great things could come from it.
Sure, and I think a couple things to take from that. I think you're exactly right. The first is, of course, we talk about in winning with CPAs, positioning yourself, and I think really everything in business is about positioning, but rather than chasing clients, which you did through all these other marketing mediums, whether it's radio or TV or direct mail, where we're chasing clients down, trying to drop our message in front of them, you're really going and positioning yourself where the clients are already gathered, where they have the questions, and making yourself the go-to advisor, really. So,
well, any referral that I had that came in from a CPA that came into my office, I didn't have to tell them what to bring. I didn't have to lead the conversation with key questions to try to bring information out. I felt it was, and they came to my office and they brought in all their stuff and they just put it all on the table and said, here, and this is all you need to know about me. And they talk and talk and talk, and it felt so different than the prospective client coming in from a dinner or lunch seminar where
Sure.
they've got their information and they've got their elbows on it, and,
Right.
and you got to work to earn that trust. Any referral came into me, they were, you know, I spoke to my CPA, he gave me your number, and he really thinks I'd be a good fit with you, and I'd like you to look my things over. I'd already earned some trust from that client and hadn't even met them yet. They just had put me up on a pedestal somewhat because they had good things were said to them by their trusted advisor, being their CPA.
Sure.
So that I caught on to fairly quickly and said, you know what, if I could only get more clients from a CPA, take great care of them, I mean, this will just snowball into something that I think would be enormous. So I really spotted that, and that was something that really propelled me to go more after a CPA relationship.
Excellent. So you got a taste of what it's like to work with CPAs clients and then decided to get more purposeful about it.
Definitely.
So you learned about our program and you came in and you've been in the Winning with CPAs program now about how long?
We really got it kick-started, I believe, end of September, beginning of October last year. So we're coming up onto a year, so we're what, around 10 months or
about
so,
10 months
10 months into the program.
Now, what was it about Winning with CPAs? Because you talked about, you know, feeling like you wanted to go find CPAs and form relationships, but you weren't confident in your approach or how you might go about doing that. So what was it about the Winning with CPAs program that when you got into it and started learning about the program, you thought this is something that could really work?
Well, I always believe that there's something that of great value we can bring to a CPA firm as advisors, and they just don't know that. And your program built me to become more scripted. I had a framework to work with. I had an approach that was tested, proven, worked, and it gave me a lot of confidence to approach. And it was different. And like I said earlier, you're going to have a lot of advisors approaching CPAs out there with the same gig, saying, hey, you know, refer to me, I'll refer to you. And that just doesn't work, I don't believe. I mean, there needs to be a relationship that's built. And I liked your program because it wasn't forceful, it wasn't aggressive, because that's not me. I'm very passive. I'm like a chess player. I move my pieces slowly and at the right time, and every step is thoroughly thought through. And that's what I liked about your program, where it gave me structure, framework, and it allowed me to go in there and really have a game plan in place where I could slowly move my chess pieces and position myself well.
Yeah, well, I think that makes a lot of sense because I think you're exactly right. I think most advisors, any CPA program, and I'm sure you've seen a number of them as well as I did before I developed this, where they're home office engineered programs which teach you go out there, offer to split commissions or cross-refer business, which in and of themselves aren't necessarily a bad thing, but because every other advisor leads with that, really doesn't give you any differentiation, and you kind of get put in the bucket with everybody else in terms of how the CPA perceives you. So going in with something completely different, which some people watching this probably that aren't in the program don't understand the interview process and everything that we teach in this. But let's get into some of the exciting stuff, because I know almost a year in now, you only have one CPA relationship, and I know some advisors watching this may think you need 15 or 20, or you might want to work with every CPA, but the reality is what we teach, and I know you believe in, is you don't need 10 or 20 relationships. You need a couple really strong ones, which is what you've been able to do in the last year. So let's talk about how did you identify the CPA firm that you now work with, and what was your initial approach like?
Well, I think it's important for advisors to go out there and if they have a relationship, current relationship, where they've sent some clients or they've received some referrals, to really understand the CPA firm, to really understand how the CPA works with their clients, what they believe in, and you need to feel some compatibility there. I think that's going to make a great relationship and make it work well. But I would say you really need to kind of understand them as a person somewhat, get to know them. If you've got things in common, because it's a partnership. Let's be honest, and it's almost like another marriage. You're going to work side by side with this person, almost like you've just brought on a new partner.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing about it is this partner's got a huge book of business waiting there behind himself that you're going to tap into and market to. And so I think that one of the most important things is you have to get to know that CPA, let that CPA get to know you. That's why your program, if you're taking it slow, it's going to, I think it's going to build a better, more solid relationship right from the get-go.
How did you make your initial approach? What did that look like for you? And maybe talk about the first meeting you had with the CPA.
Well, we set up a meeting. I went to their office. There's two partners at the CPA firm downtown Sarasota, and I approached them, and I had memorized your script, and I went in there, and I went over the script with them, and I made that proposal of the partnership and how I could bring value to them. And I even went through all the assistance of marketing and really portrayed to an image that I'm going to help your CPA firm as well. Not only the wealth management division, and however you want to structure the relationship, their first concern is their CPA firm. They don't want anything disrupted, and if you can show that you can add value to that as well, I think it's a big hit with the CPA. So I went in there and I showed them basically step 1 to step 10 as far as we're going to send out we would send out an announcement letter. Here's the marketing that we're going to drip on your clients. You want to be aggressive, you want to be passive, how you want to be with marketing. You know your clientele better than I do. So what's the most effective way? They chose to be very passive. That fits even better with me as well. So we showed them the emails that your office provides, and the newsletters monthly. So we started showing them all this, and it gave a great visual of, now look at what's going to be catered to their clientele. I did talk about education events strictly for their current clients. An appreciation event. So once we start building a book of clients, we would want to give back. We would want to do appreciation events, which only builds relationships, even more so, and with their CPA clients. So they saw the immediate value that I could bring that no other advisor was talking about, because, like you said, they're probably talking about splits. They're probably talking about how much they could make them and this and that. And I don't think initially that's really what the CPA wants to hear. I think they want to hear you're going to take great care of their clients. You're going to bring some value, meaning some marketing ideas, some events, things like that. That's going to be additional services, perks, things like that to their current clientele, because they've got a business going. They don't necessarily need you, or at least that's their thought process. If you can go in there and show them over time that you're the right man or woman for the for the wealth management or the financial services arm, then they're going to learn over time that you're valuable, and you're valuable not only to their CPA firm but to them as well, because it's a partnership that will really work.
So they really saw you coming in with a completely different value proposition probably than what 95% of advisors have approached them with. Did you see that in their response or reaction, or did that come up at all, that they said, wow, you're really different than the other people we've been approached by? Or
Well, they never said I'm different, but they've been in the area. The firm has been out here for 35, probably close to 40 years.
Wow.
in Sarasota. The two partners that remain there are both with the business for probably 25, 30 years. They've been around town for a while, so they've seen a lot. They've seen it all. I think it's safe to say that. And when I went in and proposed this, I didn't even really get much of a response at first, because it was something that they'd never heard before. They probably heard it all and heard a lot and duplicated many times, but they never heard this value proposition that I brought to the table. So definitely went over very well, and it didn't take long to get a commitment and to move forward from them.
That's great. So you went in, and I know in Winning with CPAs, of course, we teach co-branding being a very big part of the marketing that we do. Taking, in this case, Financial Edge, your firm, as an example, and branding that with a CPA, especially one that's been around 25, 35 years. But I know you actually took that even a step further. So maybe talk a little bit about how you set up, rather than co-branding your firm, how you really just helped the CPA to build on a wealth management arm to their business. Maybe talk about how you structured that up front.
Well, we structured it so, and we all agreed that we'd like to keep the name of the firm. We adjusted it somewhat, so we took portion of Kavanaugh, we turned it into Cavco Wealth Management, and we we set up an office in-house. It's a big building they had, so they had lots of room. I set up an office in there, and we wanted to just co-brand the two, keep the same logo and everything, so it's just familiar. You know, clients
Sure.
are familiar with the name, the logo, the look. Financial Edge, I'm located in a different area of town. I have some of their clients under management, under Financial Edge, but not. We just wanted to build a business inside, so we want to just keep the name that's popular, that's you know,
Sure.
well known and branded around town, and it's. I think it's been more effective that way. Clients come in with the feeling they're working with their CPA firm.
Sure.
Their CPA firm just provides another service, so. We wanted to make sure we sent that message and we were strong with it.
No, I think that's brilliant, because I think the same reason we like to co-brand is to leverage off of the trust that the CPA's clients have in the CPA's brand already with your brand that maybe they are unfamiliar with. You decided, let's just keep the brand the same, but we'll just make it And Wealth Management Services, which is really you and what you do, but you're really coming in. So as far as the CPA's client's concerned, it's almost like you work for their CPA. So I think it's a brilliant approach in the way you structured it. So talk a little bit about when you first launched the relationship. I know you saw some results right out of the gate, which has been really exciting. So talk about maybe that first announcement letter I know you sent out and what you saw from that when you guys announced the relationship.
Yeah, we sent out the announcement letter. I had both the partners from the CPA firm review it, because again, it's their clients and they know, you know, I really put them in charge. Here, we've done all the work, here's what we want to do, critique it or whatever. We didn't really do much but slap our logo and name on there. So we took your announcement letter, we sent it out. Within the first week, the phone started ringing, emails started coming in. A lot of interested people to learn more about it, to get on the weekly emails, to get on the monthly newsletters, some of which didn't necessarily just dive in and say, here, I want to come in, I want to bring all my stuff, I want to do the consultation. But we did do a flurry of initial consultations from that, so we had a good stack of files right after that first week of prospective clients to work on, did the follow-up meetings, were able to close some cases, and immediately started to do production. So our first quarter really, you know, blew out my old numbers. It's safe to say that. So I mean, just from the announcement letter, it got us up and running very quickly. So we were very pleased with the results.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, because I know a lot of advisors too think they got to wait till they get to the educational workshops. But the reality is, if you got a CPA's client base, and how many clients would you say they have there? How many tax returns do they do a year?
Around 2,000 clients.
2,000. Wow. Okay. So, and in this area being a heavily populated with retirees, I imagine a large percent of those are retirees. And in today's economic environment, if the CPA sends out an announcement letter saying now they're offering wealth management services, I imagine you got those clients that were sitting there at home saying, hey, right now I'm thinking about this, I need to give them a call and find out what's going on.
Definitely, because we were even an area that got hit with all the propaganda that was going on with Bernie Madoff, and a gentleman by the name of Art Nadell had his firm based out of Sarasota, and he had supposedly 300 million under management, and it was a Ponzi scheme. So I mean, this area even directly was hit by unethical behavior by advisors, and people became very leery very quickly, and wondered where their assets were held and if it was safe and legit. And so the whole landscape for our business when it comes to our clients has changed dramatically. So it's just something I'd always believed in too, with the CPA being the client's trusted advisor. If you have an advisor, a CPA, and an attorney, in a lot of cases they're talking to their CPA most of the time. Majority of advisors out there lack free communication with their clients, and that's a downfall in my opinion. So if the advisor's not communicating enough with their client, and after going through some corrections in the market, they're probably not calling. The CPA is going to meet at least once or twice every year at tax season.
Sure. They
may have some tax questions coming up. They're going to call in or going to email, and then the CPA is going to return that call or that email. So that is really the CPA is this kind of the focal point of that that client's professional network, so to speak. And if the client's going to get a referral from, and the CPA is going to say, you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you need to go see Dave, they can trust in that CPA's opinion because that CPA's done them well, they're trusted,
Sure.
and the CPA is not going to send their client, who is their client they care about, just to anyone. So it makes things a lot easier as far as earning people's trust, and it really speeds up the sales process, because they already come in and they've got open arms. You know,
Sure.
they're welcoming you to look at their stuff, and you know, they can't wait for you to give them some feedback and your opinion on how you can better their situation. So it's gone off very well.
I know you shared a story with me last night that I thought was great with you. I might have you share, which is after you sent out the announcement letter, I know you told a story last night about a gal who had just signed some transfer papers and then called the CPA. Tell me, maybe just share how that went.
We had, when we first sent out the announcement letter, the next day the CPA received a phone call, and one of the CPA's clients had just signed all the transfer paperwork to send a bunch of money to an investment company with another advisor, and was kind of leery about the move, and obviously wasn't that sure about it. But as soon as she received the announcement letter from the CPA, she was thrilled, because again, CPA's her trusted advisor. As soon as she learned that the firm now was providing a wealth management service in-house, she was thrilled, and she called the CPA and you know, begged the CPA to get a meeting as quickly as possible with the advisor, who was myself, and because she had signed forms and she wanted to try to stop the transfer process so she could come under management with us instead. So that was a quick,
it's an easy client to pick up.
yes,
I'm sure.
and a great, just a wonderful client, a great person, and you know, and that there was a lot of excitement like that. That was one case that just you know, came and fell in our lap quickly. But I mean, there's been a lot of similar cases like that, where maybe they weren't in the process of transferring, but they were in the process of, we're shopping around, we're interviewing, we're not happy with our current representation. We just learned now that we can get this in-house with our CPA firm, and our CPA and advisor are going to work collectively on our financial situation. A big hit. So for any clients that are kind of on the fence with making a move, or they're in the process of making a move, that announcement letter definitely shut the door on that idea, because now they were really in the mood to entertain what we had to offer, and
Sure.
knowing it was a lot of peace of mind for them, knowing that they could come and work in the CPA firm for other services.
Yeah, because I mean, from the client's perspective, I mean, why start over from scratch with an unknown new advisor that you have no, you know, basis of trust with, when you know you can get that from the same person who's done your taxes for 12 years,
Definitely.
and you've shared all your financial information with.
Definitely.
So now I know that you set it up and the relationship has gone so well that you haven't actually, almost a year in, you still have not done any of the events yet, which I know you and the CPA firm are currently talking about kicking off here in the next few months. But because the announcement letter works so well, I think I remember you telling me you guys have just sent a series of different letters covering different topics. Is that right?
We've only sent out 3 total, so the announcement letter, and then we followed up with 2 other letters maybe a month after one another, and they were just certain topics. Like we wanted to touch on the Roth conversion, the importance of doing it and spreading the tax over 11 and 12, half and half, or putting on the 10 return. So that was a big item that we felt we could help clients with sizable IRAs. So we sent that letter out. We got good feedback from that, and then we followed up and sent another letter out, and it was more along the lines of some estate planning issues. We did that, and we've really, to be honest, we've procrastinated quite a bit with the events, but it's been busy, and we really hadn't needed to do the events.
Sure.
Because we've really had a steady stream of prospective clients coming in and doing meetings.
Yeah.
We have decided we're going to do the educational events this fall. It's going to be strictly for the CPA clientele. It's just going to be another perk for them, and it's going to be a good way for us to showcase the wealth management arm, and it's going to be a great way to pass on some good education to the clients. some year-end things that they should be thinking of doing, and then in the new year we're thinking of either year-end or into the new year doing a Christmas or a New Year's party sort of thing. So kind of an appreciation event for becoming a client, remaining a client for many years of the CPA firm and of the wealth management arm. So we're excited that we've got a lot in the works that we're planning, but no, we haven't done anything but a few letters that went out, and it's provided us with, what, 8-9 months of continuous clients coming in.
Yeah, I mean, almost 8-9 months and only 3 letters, and I know you've early on found yourself really swamped. So, I mean, that's fantastic. Of course, you led into then right into the middle of tax season, and I know you set up the relationship, and some of the way we talk about is, you know, positioning yourself in the CPA's office. So you went through a season there where the CPAs are, you know, it's like a revolving door. I mean, you're doing that many tax returns, clients are constantly coming and going. Talk a little bit about what it was like being in the CPA's office. How many days a week were you there, and what was that like, and how did that work with clients coming into the CPA's office and you actually being positioned there?
It was exciting for me. It was my first tax season at the CPA firm, and I have an office set up in there, and I'm there 2 days a week, but you know, during tax season at times I would be there more, 2.5, 3 days. It varied week to week depending on if the CPAs felt, looking at their schedule and their calendar, that a potential good prospect was coming in to bring their information. So I was there as much as I could between my office here in Lakewood Ranch and down in downtown Sarasota. But what I found was exciting. Most exciting was I'd be in my office and doing my work and taking calls and things like that, and then one of the CPA partners would come in and say, "Hey, Dave, I got a client that's in the meeting room with me. They brought their stuff and they got some questions about their annuities,
Wow.
they're variable, I think, and I have no idea what they're talking about. Can you come in for?" And we happened to end up gaining one client where they had a sizable amount of money and all these different variable annuities that were, you know, out of their surrender term, and just had been real, you know, kind of dogs for. Since they've been in it, and they were just they were very concerned about them, and so I did a good run through of all the benefits that were attached and what options they had, and
Wow, yep.
And that went over very well with the CPA, because they just provide an additional service. They just saw how an additional service benefited their client for their own eyes. But that was the most exciting time, where the CPAs would often come in and say, "Hey, Dave, I got a guy here or a girl over here, and they've got questions, financial questions. Can you come on in?" And that, you know, introduced me to a lot of clients, and I got to meet them face to face, and so it was exciting, and I look forward to next tax season.
Yeah, which is a great reason to be actually present in the office, because CPAs, I know that all the ones I've interviewed have always told me that one of the frustrating things for them is that they get bombarded with questions that have nothing to do with tax planning, everything to do with investments, insurance, income planning, estate planning, things that I know you specialize in that CPAs really, you know, don't have a clue about and don't want to step over the bounds of maybe giving advice where they're not licensed to. So for you to be able to be there, not only is a benefit to their clients, but really to the CPAs themselves, to kind of take some pressure off of them.
They look good. You can make them look good, because, you know, it went over very well. There's some old variable annuities with old benefits attached to it, and the CPA really didn't want to overstep that boundary, like you say, and for me to go in there and know the product and know the benefit and just start rattling off all the information they needed to know, it was valuable for the CPA, because the CPA looked very good, because you're just servicing all their needs is what you're doing, and they were thrilled with that.
Which, of course, the more they get from the CPA firm, the higher the retention level of the clients is going to be, which is very important to CPAs, because that's recurring revenue every year. The longer those clients are happy and stay there. And don't you think that really, from the consumer's perspective, in my opinion, they'll be looking more in the future for those firms that offer multidisciplinary practice, because again, they would like to get everything at one place, and I think really the CPA firms that buy into that and get on board with that, and the advisors that are willing to do that as well, are going to benefit big time compared to those who try to operate as lone rangers, so to speak.
Definitely. Well, the loss in trust of both Main and Market Street, are speaks volumes for on people right now, in that the CPAs, you know, they have their clients who trust them enormously. They want to stay and work with people that they know, they're familiar with, that they
Sure.
trust. You know, there's been such a loss of trust in this industry over the years that they want to be catered to, or have the kind of the full meal deal, somewhere they can trust, or someone that they're familiar with and they've had a long time relationship. Even for the newer clients, I think it's someone that's maybe moving around, that's moved to CPA firms. I think it's an attractive service to offer when you can offer full wealth management plus the CPA services. I think it's a big hit with people right now, because the world's moving fast, and people are busy, and to go in and meet with your CPA, meet with your advisor, and be in and out and cover all sorts of topics, get updates on everything, and go right back to your life just like that, I think is goes far with people now.
And gives the CPA more firepower to compete with some of the other firms in town who are all hungry for new clients and wanting to offer additional services, so it really gives them an edge as well.
It does, with competition, definitely.
That's great. Now, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about your results. So you've been in this program, working with this firm, not quite a year yet. So let's say a couple of years ago, where were you at production-wise?
I was a one-man show at a time when I first went out on my own, and I had one assistant, so there was two of us in my office, and then slowly started to grow. But really the growth over the last couple of years has been, you can't even compare it to where I used to be. I used to be just kind of one client at a time, and and I tried all these different marketing ideas, and I get some results. And as far as actually building like a fee-based business, that was difficult. I found it difficult. You know, you could come across a client and you'd do an annuity with them, or you'd bring a small account under management, and it was just really one account at a time. And I think over if I peg the last year since I've been in the program, I mean, I'm exceeding by hundreds of percent,
Wow.
hundreds and hundreds. So, I mean, not more than doubled or tripled. I mean, it's been even more than that.
Wow.
Both in production as far as fixed business and fee-based business. So the last year has been enormous, and it seems like each quarter has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. We started the year was, I'd say, of the 9 months or so that we've been doing this now, the first 3 months was a big hit, and then we went into the new year and we had tax season. Well, tax season, there's a lot going on. The CPAs are busy. They're punching out tax returns. I'm getting introduced. I'm doing meetings, and then we have a process that we go through several meetings, usually with the clients. Often they didn't take that many meetings to close some cases, but we kept doing all these meetings, and the first quarter, not that we had a slow patch, but wasn't as big as the first quarter that we were in the program. And then this past quarter, it just blew things out of the water, where we, more specifically May and June, and I think that was a payoff of going through tax season, getting introduced to all those people, sitting down with all those people through kind of closer to the end of tax season, and then making preparations, doing presentations, and then going in and doing the closings. But the last, I think the first month, when you'd profiled us, we had brought in 8.5.
Wow.
The first, it was over about a 4-month span. We did the 8.5, and then
Brought in $8.5 million in new assets in 4 months.
correct.
Wow.
And then we went into the new year. The first one was slow. We actually brought some assets in under Financial Edge, and then for the wealth management arm of the CPA firm, this past quarter we've done 12 million. So
Wow.
12.5 million, and actually in 2 months. So May and June we were up to 12.5 million. So it's not really something I'm used to, but just had a huge last couple of months. So we ended up, I took my family on a nice cruise to kind of,
Good for you.
you know, celebrate and
Absolutely.
get some family time in, and recharge and come back for the fall. Usually it tends to be a slow time in the summer here in Sarasota. It always has been for my business. There's nothing slow about my May and June, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
quite different this year around.
Well, and again, you're talking about really, you've sent 3 letters announcing the relationship and a couple follow-up letters. You haven't even gotten to the events, which are going to kick off this fall, and you've already seen the kind of results. So where do you expect total assets brought in, you know, at the end of this year? What are you shooting for?
Well, we're shooting for 25. We'd like to get 25 in or more. I think it's, you know, as we get going, I won't see the results until we're there with the educational event and the appreciation event, but I highly doubt we won't have success with that. I feel very excited about it and confident that we're going to get a good response from that, because it's catered only to their clientele and not to the outside world. And it's a perk for them and a bonus for the client to be able to get educated and enjoy a nice night out, dinner and wine and things like that. But eventually, I think as we kind of kick this more into to second gear, I mean, we're really only in first gear. As we get into second gear, you know, we'd like to be maybe more up to 40 or 50 million a year would be kind of the goal. Mm-hmm. We've got longer, you know, goals that we've set as far as a couple of years where we'd like to be, and it would be nice if we're 75 to 100 million under management. That's where we, you know, as a goal that we've set. Actually, just recently with the 2 partners, we had a meeting, and we'd like to hit that within a couple of years. So we're working hard at it, and but it's been a lot of fun, and its business has been kind of easier in a sense, working with clients, because you've already earned trust, because they're familiar with who they're working with, even though they've never met you before. They're coming to their CPA firm. It's a familiar surrounding. Mm-hmm. They're open book, and they trust you more, and it's been a great experience for me.
Talk about maybe the feedback the CPAs have gotten from their clients about you and how that's affected your relationship with the CPAs.
Well, it's certainly helped, because both CPAs have been involved in a lot of the meetings, so they see me in action. Mm-hmm. And anyone doing this program, if they're successful setting up the relationship and they're doing joint meetings, they're going to prove themselves right then and there with the CPA. So they're going to solidify their relationship, and
Absolutely.
And it's going to make things you know, a great opportunity for everyone involved. But I've had some positive feedback, because servicing and managing and just taking great care of the client, that gets back around to the CPA one way or another. And I've had some positive feedback from one of the partners in that, you know, one of the clients that came on last fall just loves me and is so happy that they found me. They had problems. They were with a big investment firm for many years and were not taken very good care of, and had a tough time leaving that firm, and finally made the move over, and things have just gone really well, and they've made some positive feedback to the partner, and the CPA approached me and you know, said, don't get a big head now, but so it makes getting up and going to work that next day so worth it, because you know, when you hear things like that, it's so rewarding that you're doing a great job and you're taking great care. But that goes over well. That's all the CPA really cares about, is that their client is happy, and
Sure.
they're going to keep that client for life. It's easier to keep clients, as you know too, than it is to lose clients and have to go back and go out there and market and find new ones. So
Yep.
retention is on the top of their list. So it's gone well.
And unfortunately, I think for a large majority of advisors right now, especially if they've been direct mail seminar dependent, unfortunately maybe aren't enjoying the business as much as they were at one time, simply because when you've got the stress of worrying about where your next client's going to come from, and you're out really pounding the pavement and prospecting, really that's what really drains people in this business and causes most people that fail out to leave. But obviously when you go in and can position yourself the way you have in a CPA firm, really eliminates all of that from the business, allows you to get back to doing the part you enjoy, which is meeting with clients that are actually coming to you rather than you chasing the clients. Yeah. So that's great. So really, from your perspective, do you ever see any other way you would try and grow your business? I mean, is there any reason you could think of you'd ever go back to mass marketing in any other form?
No, I don't. I don't miss it at all. I don't miss the expense, because I I look at it and I look back at you know, old tax returns and things like that. And I had a lot of deductions, but let me tell you,
Right.
it wasn't fun writing those checks every week and every month for all the marketing that I was doing, and it just wasn't enjoyable. It was draining, and I always was so involved in my current clientele that if I did spend some extra time getting ready for a seminar that was upcoming or doing some mailers and direct mail and stuff like that, I felt guilty towards my current clients because I felt that I wasn't giving the proper time and attention to them, and I was always about retention and keeping current clients. So it started to really bother me too that, hey, you know, I need to grow my business on one hand, I need to take care of my current clientele. How do you find the right mix there? And so no, I'm not going to miss that one bit. I never see myself going back to that. I think the only changes in marketing would really be different things that we can do within the CPA firm.
Sure.
Outside of, you know, events and letters and things like that. I think you know, we may come across you know, do a golf event or a polo day or you know, fun things and make it fun and relationship building, not marketing to people that are, you know, eating your steak dinner and
right.
With no intention to come in and meet with you.
Sure. I know you also shared a story just to give the advisors a taste of some of what can happen when you're positioned inside a CPA firm. I know you told me about one of the CPA partners bringing you a statement the other day. I don't know if you want to share that and
sure.
talk about what you saw there.
Yeah, well, one of the, we had some really big cases lately, you know, why I don't know, but some very high net worth clients had come in, and that's what really made it a big May and June. It really kind of started end of April. I started getting some statements, and then just recently, one of the clients brought their statements in for the CPA to look at, and the CPA had met with the client. I happened to be out of town, so I wasn't involved in the meeting, but then as soon as I got back, I had some statements waiting, sitting on my desk, and I could see what was there, and then you know, minutes after I'd arrived, the CPA was excited, of course, because he comes running into my office, you know, realizing I was there now, came in and said, here's statements. One of my clients, have a look. They want to meet. They want to have an analysis. And I looked down, and it was a $12 million portfolio. So,
Wow.
you know, there's no shortage of high net worth clients in the Florida area and amongst clientele of this CPA firm. So we're just kind of starting to see it slowly come out one at a time, and again, that's why I'm so excited to start these events, and I'm going to be leaning on you for some advice on, you know, how to properly, you know, structure all of those, and because I know you've had success and done very well with those in the past.
Well, I think that's exciting too, because I think a lot of times with the direct marketing and, you know, the kind of cold marketing that advisors do, I'm sure you'd agree with this, I think you're less likely to run into those cases, because really the high net worth people that we all want to work with, they don't want to be sold. They don't want to meet their advisor through a direct mail postcard or a free dinner. People with $12 million portfolios don't need you to buy them a $50 steak, right? So the reality is, though, by being positioned, you actually are positioning yourself to run into those higher net worth cases where if they're going to change advisors, they're going to ask their CPA, who should I work with? So yeah,
I think the tendency is, if it's outside of the CPA, it would be their attorney. But, you know, with firms I've worked with in the past, I've seen the same thing. Any of the biggest cases that came into our office always came from the CPA or the attorney. They never just showed up at a seminar. I mean, even if you did estate planning, like advanced estate planning and talking about wills and trusts and ILETs and different strategies for estate planning, you still wouldn't get those people. They're going to just pick up the phone. They're going to schedule a meeting with their CPA and their attorney, maybe jointly. And you know, because they don't have the time and the need or want to go to a free dinner or free lunch, even though the topic may interest them. I just don't think you'll ever be able to convince them to come out to an event like that. So certainly, you're looking at a much bigger group of high net worth clients that you're going to be able to tap through the CPA firm.
Because I would say the reality with that is probably, not probably for sure, the very higher net worth that you want to work with, they might send their attorney to your meeting to listen, but that's why they're paying them to do the research. I think the people who attend seminars, generally speaking, either don't completely trust the advisors that they have in place, not just financial, but CPAs, attorneys, etc. So they're more do-it-yourselfers. So you may find the network, the occasional $1 million, $2 million client, but the $5, $10, $15 million clients, the very high net worth, of course, and up, they're not going to come to those events, because what are they going to learn from a 1-hour seminar when the estate planning attorney that they pay thousands of dollars has gone to school for years to study this stuff and does it 40 plus hours a week?
The feedback I've got from and heard around the office and from the CPAs is that we had a client come in, and he has a business worth $20 million. We just met with him a few weeks back, and he's got some investable assets in the millions, and he called the CPA. He said, "Here's some issues I have going on. Figure them out for me,
right,
and let me know when you've got to figure it out." And here's, and the CPA has a relationship with his client's attorney, and says, "Figure out all these issues and let me know when you have them figured out, and we'll schedule a meeting. I'll stop by your office." So, they're successful. They've made that money for one reason or another, but they don't spend their time trying to learn it themselves. It's like, I'm going to pay someone and get it professionally done for me. And my opinion on the seminars and direct mail and things like that, you're going to hit a lot of do-it-themselfers. I had a rep working underneath me out of my office at a time before, and he had a great thing going on. It was a breakfast club. Soon as he started asking for a commitment to come in and meet with him after he'd been doing this for a very long time without asking for a commitment, they were reluctant to give information. A lot of them didn't want to come in and do an initial consultation or a review. Sure. A big wall was put up there, and that's a wall that I haven't seen since I did my seminars and direct mail and things like that. So it's nice to be out and away from that. And moving on to things that are so much more positive in our business. Well,
I think with the explosion of growth that advisors saw in the last 10 and 15 years with direct mail seminars, in hindsight, if we think about that, really the opportunity with CPA relationships should be many, many, many times over, because really, if you think about it, you were simply picking up some low-hanging fruit because it was a new way of marketing, but in my opinion, it's become the new cold calling. So I think anyone who saw results with direct mail seminars should just kill it with CPA relationships, because not only are you positioning yourself where the assets are, but you've decreased your overhead, your marketing overhead significantly, and you've increased the trust. In fact, I know if it's like the clients I've met with from CPAs, it's almost like doing a meeting with your existing client, because that trust is already there, so Definitely. You don't have to spend the time. So, in closing, if you were going to give some advice to advisors that are maybe not in the program yet, and they're looking at working with CPAs and want to replicate your success and what you've been able to do in under a year, really, what advice would you have? What would you share with them?
Well, I think it's important to go into the program. Number one. I think number two would be, if you're going to do the program, you need to be patient. And I think I talk about this in Orlando when I saw you last. Patience is key, because the CPA, again, I'll say it again, that's all they care about is their client and retention, and that's number one to them. So you got to approach it with that frame of mind. Take it slow. Bring your proposition that you've built to the table to them, and you're going to get a positive response. And just know that you're going to build something slow, and it's going to be built very well, rather than go in there like the typical advisor that they're seeing every week or every month, stopping by, dropping business cards. You got to approach it. You're different. You've got something different to. And you've got a value proposition that they're going to benefit from, their clients are going to benefit, but be patient, because it could take a little while, but with the right coaching, I think that most people could do it. Anyone that's successful in this business can implement this, and I think there's some pretty gray statistics for advisors. It's like, the 50% of advisors fail in the first 2 years of being in the business and are out of the business. But if you've proven yourself in the business, so if you are a fairly big producer to begin with, or mid-sized to fairly big producer, you can certainly implement this program, no problem. A smaller, maybe someone that's newer in the industry, it's going to take more work, and you're going to have to work hard, but there's going to be a huge benefit at the end of it waiting for you. You're going to get rewarded quite well. So, but patience is the virtue to this whole relationship, because it's like a marriage. I mean, you don't meet a girl and ask her to marry her unless you're in Vegas and you had a couple too many.
Not.
But
Right.
but I mean, this is a marriage between the two. This is a partnership that you're setting up. So you got to be careful and approach it that way, and really emphasize the value you can bring to them and to their clients.
And I think it's exciting because, you know, you talk about being patient, really, but really even with the patience of setting up the relationship, not going in trying to push the CPA into let's get this going, let's get this done, but really be smart and strategic, as you said very early on, about, you know, play chess, you know, make sure you play your cards at the right time. Don't go in there and try to, you know, cram it down their throat and push them around to hurry up and get a commitment, because like you said, that's what everybody else does. But once you get through that process, and of course we teach the 3 meeting interview process, as you know, so even the patience you're talking about is not 6 months to a year.
No.
You're talking, I think you said last night, within 2 months you had this relationship fully off the ground and going, and then to see the kind of results that you've seen. So, but then that and not giving up, but to the point about the marriage, you know, that you made, you've seen phenomenal results in just 10 months. But the reality is, I think you'd agree, the longer that relationship's in place, the more comfortable you and the CPAs become working together, the results are just going to continue to compound.
My relationship is certainly, and since I set up an office there, the relationship has only grown and grown stronger and stronger between the CPA partners and myself, because we've worked more and more together. We get to know each other, and you understand how they work and what they expect, and you really got to feel that out and really analyze who they are as people and what they believe in and how they work for their clients, and you got to duplicate that to an extent, and really show and prove to them that you're their guy or girl, and you're going to do what's best for the client, and you're going to service properly and take best care of them. And the relationship only grows, and then I think it leads into the CPA becoming more and more confident that they can now do more things with the wealth management arm, meaning let's market this more. I'm getting confident, I'm seeing results, I'm seeing clients being happy.
Yep.
This is just going into places that I never thought it would go this quickly, and we haven't done much, but hey, let's, you know, I'm confident that we can, I've got the confidence to move forward and market more, and let's really put this thing into a higher gear, because we really hadn't got at it first yet. So,
Yep.
So yeah, it's, I was patient in the beginning, and slowly I'm kind of just letting the CPAs make certain decisions as far as the relationship goes with the marketing and all that, because it's their clientele and they know them.
Sure.
And I don't want to push anything, and I'm a very passive guy. So, but I think it's, you know, I look each year is just going to continue to grow better and better. So I'm excited to be in this position and grateful for it.
But because you came in with the track to run on, the proposal all thought out, and you had it all put together, I'm sure they're also happy to defer to you and ask for your input on how you should grow this
Definitely.
thing, since you've done the legwork, like you said, of bringing that to the table for them.
Definitely.
So, and I think if you look at the landscape, very few practices, I think, are set up this way. Even though it's such a huge opportunity for the CPA, huge opportunity for the advisor, just seems like for whatever reason over the past number of years, you don't see a lot of firms like that where they've got that happening. And so I think it's just sky's the limit really for advisors today if they're willing to buy into this concept, spend the time to really internalize the program, which I know you did when you got the book. You went home, you read it, internalized it, made it your own so that you could go out and do the interview process. So kudos to you. You've certainly put in the hard work, so you should be rewarded for that. So excited to continue to watch you grow, especially as you start the events this fall, and we'll keep everybody updated on how you're doing. But appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and certainly appreciate you sitting down and sharing with us.
Well, I appreciate all your help, and really a turning point thanks to you in my career and in my business. This program working with CPAs. So you know, I thank you. I owe you big time, and can't wait to see you back in Sarasota.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this interview with Dave Szabo of Financial Edge, and anything we can do to help you win with CPAs, we hope you'll let us know. But we'll look forward to seeing you next time when we'll sit down with another top producer in the Winning with CPAs program and have a chance to, again, to look into their practice to see how this program is, again, affecting the businesses of advisors all over the country. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.